Hi there, it's Nicole here today for Waffle Flower with a card featuring some stamps and dies from the May 2018 release. This is the Sweet Ice Cream Stamps and Coordinating Dies, and I've paired them with the awesome Apartment Builder die set that was released back in, I believe, April. So just a fun way to mix some new and older product. I guess it's not that old. However, I am using another stamp set for the signage on my store. I did die cut the elements off camera to save some time today. This is a fairly long video. There's quite a bit involved in creating this sweet little scene. Mostly it's just putting it together. It's very easy. And I love that the Apartment Builder set can be used in so many different ways, so many different configurations. You can mix and match it. It's just awesome. I am starting with these smaller panels, and I just trimmed a piece of cardstock to go behind it. The cardstock colors I'm using, the background is Peacock, from Fawn, and the lighter aqua blue is the Mermaid cardstock from Fawn. And because these are such intricate dies and pretty thin borders around, I am using some of these thin foam adhesive strips around the edges. They're really super thin and they work fantastic for little pieces like this. And I'm just going to layer these over the Peacock cardstock so you can see through that. You could definitely skip the foam adhesive if you wanted to. It would save a little time. I really liked the little bit of dimension this gives me, and especially when it comes to the windows that are going to go up above. It makes a big difference with the curtains and the shades and things, I think, with a little bit of foam adhesive. It is not really thick, it's pretty thin, so this is still going to fit in an envelope very easily, but just that little tiny bit of dimension is something I really love. What I am going for with building my background here is building a little ice cream shop. So we've got kind of the little bottom area of the shop, and then we're going to have some windows with fun little curtains and shades in them. One of the little mice from the Sweet Ice Cream stamp set's going to be peeking out with his ice cream cone, maybe getting ready to hand it to one of the customers down here that are going to be along the bottom edge of the card. And then the other two windows are going to feature some sweets, and we're going to put a sign up on the awning on top. Now, I left this in because I wanted to show you that I accidentally adhered my window without adding my curtain behind it, which was a pretty big boo-boo, because I can't add it directly behind the window if I've already added the foam adhesive. So I ended up peeling that all off. We're going to glue the curtain in place. My curtains and shades were die cut from the Fawn Really Rainbow Petite pattern paper pack, the little pink on pink stripe. I'm going to go ahead and add my foam adhesive on the back of this, but I am going to tell you that I messed up again before I realized there's quite a few layers here, but I want my contrasting background behind the windows to be that Peacock cardstock as well, which I really needed to add before I secure this to the card. I did not, but I was able to carefully peel it up and pop that cardstock underneath, so you really can't tell. However, I'm going to show you how to do it probably what I would consider the right way with the remaining two windows. This is about the point where I was like, what in the world am I doing? Just kind of, I guess I was distracted, or I don't know what I was doing. So I'm just going to kind of carefully peel this up. I was really hoping I would not have to put more foam adhesive on the back of this poor frame, and I was able to pretty much salvage it. I just had to peel off one tiny little piece there. So then we can go ahead and put that down. That looks good. So super cute. How adorable is that curtain? I just love it. So now I'm going to use my frame or my windows as guides. And I'm going to put a little adhesive there in the middle. I'm going to line this up, pop my Peacock cardstock insert right there. I did die cut these windows from the Peacock cardstock, so I have a set of Peacock window frames I've got left over that I can use on another project sometime. But I am going to use that. It's because it's perfectly die cut, it fits better than trying to position or move. I could have put a whole layer of cardstock back behind. That would probably have been easy as well. I did not. So just kind of whatever you like to do. Make sure and glue the curtains or shades to the back of the frame. Add those thin foam adhesive strips and then pop that in place. And we're going to do this on the remaining 2 windows. And I did hide a little foam adhesive behind the curtains and the shades to help it be a little bit more structurally secure. I did not bother trimming off the shade at the top because it's going to be covered with the awning. However, you could, and I think I maybe even do trim it off a little bit later. But what I love is with the shade, and there's a couple of different options for the shades. This is the scalloped edge shade. You can put it as low or as high as you want. I raised this up a little bit because my mouse is going to be sticking up, and I still wanted you to be able to see maybe just a little peek of the background with the shade, and if it was all the way down, I really think it would be covered up. Now, there is even these little tie backs for the curtains. I die cut those from some Lawn Fawn raspberry cardstock, and I'm going to go ahead and glue those in place. You would not think that such a teeny tiny little thing would make such a huge difference, but I really think those little tie backs make all the difference for the curtains. Really awesome. I love those. We're going to layer a couple of pieces of cardstock for the awning at the top of the card as soon as I get this final window in place. You could go with a single color. You could maybe even trim them apart and paper piece them together if you wanted to. You could cut it from white cardstock and ink into each individual section if you wanted to by masking off the others. Lots of ways to do this. I'm going to just layer my cardstock here. I tried to keep this kind of clean and simple, even though it is a detailed scene card, as far as I didn't add additional inking, distressing, things like that. My embellishments are very clean, very streamlined. There's just a few little things, but most of that's going to be concentrated on these stamped and colored images from the Sweet Ice Cream stamp set. So there is my little ice cream shop. Pretty much built. Let's go ahead and grab a little bit more foam adhesive, and I'm just going to grab a couple of strips here because the awning needs to be up high just like the rest of the ice cream shop. And I think I can even do a couple of layers of this and then pop that in place. The lighter pink, the ballet slippers layer, is going to be adhered directly to this. Originally, I did not adhere it right off the bat. I thought I would stamp my sentiment maybe directly on the awning, but it wasn't working for me. I fiddled with it quite a bit. I laid out my greetings in several different configurations, trying to find the best way to adhere my sentiment. And all along, I had it in my mind that I wanted some sort of signage, something to kind of help denote this as an ice cream shop, even though that's where the sentiment goes. But in my mind, that's kind of how I want the look of this to be. I hope that makes sense. And so I went through my waffle flower stamps and looked for something that had a banner or a sign, and I ended up coming up with the Morning Love stamp set, which is kind of this floral stamp set, and decided to stamp this label with the Like a Pro ink from Waffle Flower, which is kind of a gray color. So we're going to stamp the frame in gray, and then we're going to stamp the sentiments from the Sweet Ice Cream stamp set in a couple of colors, a couple of colorful colors of ink from Waffle Flower, the Tickled Pink and New Fish in Pond, which is that great light pink that really coordinates great with the rest of the pink in my card. And the New Fish in Pond is a fantastic aqua that complements the aqua in the card. So once my frame, I stamped it several times, one on top of another to get a really dark, clean stamped image. And I'm going to do the same thing with the Sweet Sentiment. This is going to be stamped in the Tickled Pink ink, and I'm going to stamp it several times, one on top of another to make it nice and bold. And then we'll stamp the rest of the sentiments around it to finish off the signage. And I was really excited that this worked so well because these are two very vastly different styles of stamp sets. The Morning Love stamp set is definitely not the same style as the Sweet Ice Cream stamp set, but it really works. I love when you can mix and match, especially when you can mix and match things that you might not necessarily think to use together right off the bat. But I really think the size of this label and then the way that the sentiments fit inside, it was just meant to be. I was so excited that this worked out. We'll go ahead and grab the coordinating Morning Love label die. In fact, I hadn't used it yet, so I had to trim it apart from some of the others in that stamp set. We're going to die cut this and then pop it in place right on that awning. So this card was very much built from the base up. A lot of times I like to stamp and color my focal point images. In this case, they'd be the Sweet Ice Cream little mice and ice cream dishes and all of that. But for this card, I ended up building my background, my little building, and then from there, I'm going to add my sentiment, which is the signage for my ice cream shop, and we're going to finish with those sweet, adorable little mice. So here is my cute little sign. I just love it. I can't get over how cute and how perfect it fits. Now, while I'm going to be coloring my images, I want some of my Nouveau crystal drops that I want to add as decoration to my card to dry. So I'm going to go ahead and add those right now. And I'm adding some little drops just kind of down here along the scallop and then a few up at the top. Pretty minimal, but just anything that you can do to add some kind of fun embellishment, I'm a big fan of. So we've got a little bit bigger drops, and then I'm going to put a smaller drop kind of on top of that, and then another drop at the end of all of these little die cut sections of the awning. This is the Simply White Nouveau Crystal Drops. It is a fantastic opaque white, very bright white, and I think it adds a nice little touch to the card. I'm also going to grab the White Blizzard Nouveau Crystal Drops. This is a translucent glitter, and we're going to use this quite a bit on this card to add some sparkly accents, but I'm going to use it first on the signage to create some little bit of glitter and finish off the sign really nice. And then I'm also going to use it on the tie backs on the curtains. And then it's time to stamp our mice and sweet treats. I'm going to stamp these on some smooth white cardstock using a black ink for Copic coloring. I'm using the Misty to stamp these so that I can stamp them a couple times, one on top of another, to get a really great crisp stamped impression. Go ahead and put my apartment builder dies away. You guys, that die collection is fantastic. I had not gotten a chance to use it yet. I really loved it from the last release, and I can see myself using this for lots of things. I really love that apartment builder die collection. The colors of Copic markers I'm using to color in all of the areas and all of these images are shown across the top of the screen. The mice are colored with warm gray 1, 3, and 6, with a little R00 for the insides of the ear with warm gray 1 over the top. And then R20 was used for the cheeks, so they have nice rosy cheeks. And I'm going to do the same thing for all 3 mice. And I went ahead and tried to color anything that was going to be gray all at once, finishing with a little dot detail on the mice to give them a little added texture and interest. Next, anything that's going to be red is R27, 46, and 39. That includes the cherries on top of the sundae and ice cream cones, and then the little female mice or mouse's dress, and the bow tie on the other little mouse. The leaf is YG21 and 17, and then the mint ice cream is G00 and G02. Then a little strawberry ice cream with R000 and R11. We're going to skip to the chocolate ice cream with E43, 44, and 47. And then move back to the other layer of ice cream with E40 and E43. And the ice cream cone with E30 and E31. Adding a little dot detail to some of the sections on the ice cream as well. Same colors used in different configurations for the ice cream sundae. So again, we've got E43, 44, and 47, R000 and 11, E40 and E43, and then the dish is going to be G00, G02, and G17. So a little mint dish. In fact, we'll color the spoon in with that same color combination. Just a couple more things to color here. And then we can die cut these and put the rest of our card together. The shirt for the other mouse, I really contemplated what color to use, and I ended up using some really light yellows with Y00000 and Y02. We're going to go ahead and adhere these 2 little customer mice along the bottom edge of the card, and the little boy mouse is holding the spoon ready for his sweet treat. To get the mouse in the window to fit, I'm going to trim it down a little bit. And I ended up trimming off a little off the bottom, and I did trim off the tail so that it looks like the mouse is kind of hanging out the window, getting ready to hand this ice cream cone to a customer. Same thing for the ice cream sundae. I'm going to trim off a bit of that so I can tuck it back behind the curtain so it's kind of sitting up on the ledge of this store or this little storefront. Trying to figure out the best way to do this. We'll just take our scissors, trim off a little bit, and then I want to kind of tuck it back behind, partly back behind and partly in front. And I really didn't think I was going to want to add anything to that final window on the left side of the card, but as I got everything in place, it really felt very right side heavy, if that makes sense. And I felt like it did need a little something. I originally thought I would do that oversized cherry, and I did end up going ahead, and I will stamp and color that in a minute and add that to the window over on the left. I am using a black jelly roll pen to add detail to the tips of the mice noses and eyes. And then we'll take a white pen and add some detail to their cheeks, to add highlights to the cherries on the desserts, add some detail to her little dress, and then even take some Nouveau crystal drops in White Blizzard and add some sparkle to some of the ice cream treats. As this dries, it dries clear and just leaves a fantastic kind of iridescent glittery sparkle. Here's those little white highlights on the cherries and the dots on the cheeks. All of these little touches just really make this card design pop. And then we'll add a little white dot detail near the hem of her dress and around the neck. I love these mice from Waffle Flower. There's several. There's a winter set of these mice. There is a spring flower one, and now these cute little ice cream ones. They're just really adorable. I love them. Now, my ice cream sundae was not adhered really well. It kept shifting, so I'm going to use a little Ranger Multi-Matte Medium to hold that down in place a little bit better. I'm going to go ahead and fold my card. I did not already do that. Just going to score it with a Teflon bone folder and make sure it's nice and secure. And stamp that cherry like I was talking about a second ago, and we'll color that in with the same colors of markers we used for the other cherries. That's going to be YG 21 and 17 for the leaf, and R 27, 46, and 39 for the cherry. We'll leave the little highlight alone, and once I tuck this in the window, I'm going to go ahead and add some of that Nouveau Crystal Drops White Blizzard over the top of this cherry so it's nice and sparkly as well. I tried to stay consistent with all of the sweet treats, that they all had a little bit of sparkle on them. And I think this really rounds out the window design nicely. Thanks for joining me today for this sweet ice cream shop scene card featuring new stamps and dies from the Waffle Flower May 2018 release. The supplies I used to create my card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Waffle Flower stamps and dies that you might be interested in. Please subscribe for weekly card making and stamping videos. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll catch you next time.